Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Happy Wednesday. Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning, and happy Wednesday to you too, Sifu.
Yeah,
You're looking very dapper today in your jacket.
Thank you. I got to tell you, every time we do a show together, I feel blessed that I'm in your presence. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I feel the same way. I always love our conversations on this show with our amazing guests.
Yes, and you said guests. Yes, it's not just you and me. We have incredible people joining us right now. So let's go ahead and bring them on. Meredith and Craig and Violetta.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us. It's our pleasure. We're excited.
Yeah.
So tell us where everybody is coming in from, because a lot of people think that we're all hanging out in the same room, but we're not.
No, we're calling in from Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Very cool.
I'm coming to you live from the Rockies, right outside of Denver, Colorado.
Very nice.
Yeah,
And
I'm
Nikki?
coming in live from New Jersey.
And I just ran to New York so I could be here with you all. I am excited for today's conversation because it's the energy of transformation. Holy moly, I just love saying that.
Yeah.
Who wants to tackle that? Because I think it's such a beautiful thing when we think about the energy and the transformation that it takes for it to happen, right? I'm all ears. There's face too, but there's face.
I think the energy of transformation starts with intention. I don't think we transform randomly or sporadically. I think we transform when we have the intention of what we're trying to become, the evolution we are trying to undertake. So I think the very first piece, the energy that instigates transformation is always intention.
I love that. Yeah.
I love intention.
And I would say for someone who, like my energy is my superpower, but ironically, I had a lot of habits growing up that would self-sabotage and take that energy away. And what got in my way was I didn't have an awareness. And so I think before you can even have an intention to change, you have to understand how your energy is. Like, where is your energy and where do you give it away and how do you give it away? Because once you have that awareness, then I think, to Meredith's point, the intention follows. But without an awareness, we just continue living in survival mode and running blind. And survival mode depletes all our energy. And that's really my life story. So I love this conversation. I think it's, what's the word I'm looking for? Providential for today.
Ooh.
Great
Yeah.
word.
Yes, I love that. And awareness is the first step. It's like you can't change something you're not aware of. I went to a chamber networking event last week, and I'm meeting new people and I'm talking and my energy is positive and high and I'm smiling. And then I get in the car and I look in the mirror and I had a piece of blueberry in my teeth. And I was like, no one told me. I wasn't aware of this, so I couldn't do anything about it. So definitely awareness is the first step, and the power of setting intention to just align yourself with the things that you want to draw to you. Huge.
I would tell you if you had blueberry on your teeth.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate it.
I got to say something about that. The people didn't say anything to you. And people are afraid of sharing the truth with someone, right? Or they're afraid of saying, oh, you know what? I'm not going to say. But instead of contributing to someone, we stay away from it. And I think we need to contribute more. We need to say to somebody, hey, by the way, you know, you got a stain on your shirt. I don't know if you noticed, you spilled coffee on you. And they, oh yeah, I did that. But they may not be aware of it, right? So a lot of times, and it's okay if we tell someone something they already know, but we're not trying to school them. We're just trying to make them aware.
Right. The intention is positive, right?
Comes from a place of love. It's in service of the relationship. It's actually it's showing that you care enough about this relationship and this person that's in front of you that you don't want them to have an embarrassing moment later, or you know, something. But at least you're it's a difficult, weird conversation sometimes, but again, facing that shows how much you care, and it builds trust.
And it goes back to what we talked about, energy. When you're coming at a conversation like that with the energy of in service of you, trying to make you aware, to help you, to serve you, to love you, then that energy is felt and received, and it makes the conversation a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely.
I gotta say, kids are incredible. They have such energy. They transform in front of our eyes. I teach young children, and sometimes the young children are 68 years old, but it depends on the class that I'm teaching. And so sometimes I will have a little kid picking their nose, and I'll go, "Excuse me." They kind of look at me. I go, "Did you lose something?" And so a lot of times when I may have a class, and even if I go somewhere, like I used to travel before COVID, I used to go to all over the country and teaching. I used to go to different places and teach the masters, and then I would go and teach their students. And I would be in a room of all these little kids, and if a bunch of them were picking their nose, I said, you know, how do I stop it? So I came up with a great idea. I said, why don't I teach them how to pick their nose correctly? And all of a sudden, and I said, who knows how to pick their nose? Of course, all their hands go up. I go, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. What do you mean? I know how to pick my nose. Look. And I'm like, no, that's not the right way. And so I said, take your fingers out of your nose, but raise your hand if you want me to teach you how to pick your nose correctly. All their hands went up. And then the adults in the room are going, uh-oh, where is he going with this, right? Which is probably where you're going right now. Mm-hmm. And so I would sit them all down and I would go, do you use a finger? And a lot of them go, I go, no. And then two, they're like, 2 fingers. I go, you got 2 holes. No, not. How about 3? And then how about 4? How about your thumb? And they're like, no, they're laughing at this point. And I go, I know. And I take a kid's hand and I go, you use somebody else's fingers. And they're like, ew, no. So I say, okay, so we understand that we're not going to use our fingers. I know. The best way to pick your nose is with your elbow. And then I go, okay, everybody try to pick your nose with your elbow. And if you can pick your nose with your elbow, I'm going to give you $100. Everybody's trying to pick their nose with their elbow. So it's about the intention of getting them aware of who they are, with what they're doing, and not realizing that they're doing it. And then all of a sudden they're having fun with it. So I thought I'd share that with you guys because we're talking about intentions and awareness, right? So thank you for letting me share.
that was a wild ride. And I was not expecting you to go there with the elbow. I was thinking he's going to teach them how to pick their nose with a tissue. So,
Right?
yeah.
We go into that afterwards. So we go, if the elbow doesn't work, then you get a tissue, right?
Uh-huh.
And so some of the kids will go, okay, I need a tissue now. I'm like, okay, let's get some tissues. But yeah, so it's a fun way for me to engage the children, and the parents are like, oh my God. And then finally at the end, they're like, thank you, right? So.
Wow. Fascinating, Sifu. You never, always a surprise with you. And certainly never a dull moment.
Life is too short for that.
It is. Yeah, we do. We need to bring in some more humor. Humor certainly transforms your mood, your attitude, relationships, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually one of the pillars of our relationship coaching framework is that we don't have enough fun. As grown-ups, we tend to like process the fun out of our lives. We have our to-do lists and all, being a grown-up comes with a lot of responsibility. And for some reason, all those responsibilities seem to feel a lot more important than the actual leaning into fun. We did that really naturally as kids, but as we grow up, we tend to not do that anymore. And when things stop being fun, we stop wanting to engage and participate and contribute to them, which means we end up disconnecting from the relationships in our life.
Lower intention.
So having more fun helps you re-engage in relationships, have harder conversations because you're having more fun outside of that. And it just keeps you engaged and connected in the relationship.
Absolutely. I love that part.
I remember years ago, I was in another group of entrepreneurs, and I was collaborating with this one woman, and she said to me, I challenge you to 100 days of fun. Every day, I want you to do something that's fun. And it literally made me freeze. I didn't realize, I wasn't aware that I was afraid to have fun, afraid to have too much fun, because with it would come consequences. So it was something that I forced myself to do. But I mean, there was a point where I broke down and actually cried because I couldn't believe how afraid I was. And that was connected with being afraid to be too happy because, ball could drop or, the bad could follow the good and all of that. So fun wasn't easy for me as an adult.
It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by Joseph Campbell: follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. And for me, I think being an immigrant kid and, having parents that were just constantly struggling and in survival mode, it subconsciously was programmed into me that that's how things are, that you have to work and push and grind, and there was no fun, right? So even though as a child, like my natural state is very joyful, but those get so ingrained in us and they rob us of our joy, our energy, our creativity, our life calling, right? And so it's only really been in this last 6 months, being a businesswoman, being a sales architect, I'm always very focused financially where the money is. And I realized that doesn't really bring me joy, that there's other things that I came to do that are joyful. And it's really scary having joy as your compass, especially when mentors and well-meaning people tell you that that's not a good money maker, don't go that way, And so I've really had to silence the noise and trust that what lights me up is for me, and it will find a way, as Joseph Campbell said. And I think fun is that transformation in energy, especially as adults. We're so used to the grind, the hustle. I know for me as a Gen Xer, that's all I saw, and so I think that joy aspect, like what? We grow up and we throw that out the window. And I think that is where the transformation happens. When I love that, Nikki, I'm going to challenge myself to 100 days of fun. So
I love it. Yeah, you know what? I never finished. I think I made it to like day 50 because I kept I got a fun notebook with like leopard and pink sparkles, and every day I would write down the date and what I did for fun, no matter how small it was. Even if it was like I went to my sister's house for dinner and we laughed at this funny thing. I just wanted to make small wins every day. But maybe I'll pick up that challenge, and I'll do it with you.
Let's do it together.
Yeah, because imagine the energy that it'll bring, not only to our business
yes.
and relationships, approaching
Yes.
everything through the lens of fun and lightness.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
I'm raising my hand because I would have to triple dip on that, because I've been having fun every day for so long that if my day is not fun, I might as well stay in bed. And every day I laugh. I mean, literally every day. And if I'm not laughing, I need to put something on that's going to make me laugh, right? It's going to force me to laugh. And Violet, when you talked about being an immigrant, if you didn't say it, I wouldn't know it. And one of the comments that we also received was from Joe, and he's a first generation immigrant kid here as well, right? And all of you said is 100%. And guess who else is an immigrant? This guy. You may not know it, but I came to this country when I was 8 years old. And I am so driven by not the American dream, but by America, by this country, because it didn't matter where I would be in the world. I think that the dream it's in every one of us, right? So wherever you are, and I don't want to say American dream because we have 2 Canadians with us, right? So it's been put there so much that the American dream, but you can make it, obviously, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. But the other aspect is, if you ever look at an image of a little African kid, and they're smiling, but they're in poverty, and you see the most beautiful smile on a kid who is living in a cardboard box, but the smile is huge. And people look at it, and if you took the cardboard box and you put them in a mansion and they had the same smile, you would go, oh, I want what they have. But when they're in poverty and they're smiling, you kind of feel sorry for them instead of saying, I want what they have. And I think we have to, in retrospect, understand that joy comes from within, not always from our environment. Right? So yes, you're an immigrant, but you're not, it's not a label across your forehead, right? Because to me, I don't see you as an immigrant. I see you as another human being. And so I just wanted to share that. And you don't sound like an immigrant. My sister sounds like an immigrant.
Yeah.
Okay. My siblings sound like immigrants because they have an accent.
Yeah.
Way heavier Spanish accent than I do. I'm Colombian, right? So, but it's very interesting that we think and we're all connected in this world, and the energy of transformation is, who do we become as we continue our daily journey? I think that's an important part also.
Yeah, it's a great question too. Who do we become? And stepping into that future version of ourselves and leading from that person.
Yeah, self-actualization, as Abraham Maslow, introduced so many decades ago. I think it's all about the becoming, right? Like I always say that, it was Dr. Wayne Dyer would always say, don't die with your music still in you. And I think that is the human experience for so many of us, is we have music within us, and yet a lot of us don't share that music, and it robs us of our joy, and it robs us of our energy. And so I feel that, the energetic side of self-actualization is a key part. It's, where is our energy in relation to where it could be, like if we're coming from that future self, right? That I call it my woman of tomorrow, right? Like,
ooh, I love that.
Yes, well, it's people of tomorrow. Carl Rogers coined that term about self-actualized people. And even when I just think, well, what would my woman of tomorrow do? It energizes me just to think from that perspective.
Yeah.
Because the other side of it is my programming, my wiring, and I call it my girl of yesterday. And she's stuck in survival mode. She's always giving her energy away. And so I think that having that awareness of where you are energetic wise, like what's your energy level and what can you do to raise it before you go into that appointment, before, like, you know, you could have a suit on, you could say all the right things, you could have all the pretty things, but if your energy is down because of your stress, whatever it is, people can read that. You know, like I always say, the greatest superpower in driving business is your energy, because that's what people buy. They don't buy your solution, they don't buy the gap. That obviously that's there, but why do they pick you over the competition? It's because of your energy, it's magnetism. And I think that that's such a key role in business and in life.
That's a hard lesson we've learned for sure. Is we discovered that we're incredibly coachable,
Very coachable
humans. And when we first started in business, we got coaches and they told us exactly what to say and exactly how to say it. And
programming us.
yeah, and it wasn't us and it wasn't our energy and it didn't resonate with our people who were looking for us. And so it took us some time to be able to lean into our energy and trust our energy and trust ourselves.
Find our voice. I think a lot of it for us was, especially for me, was, you know, when you leave corporate behind and a life that all you've ever known, your identity is really closely tied to that. And so when you leave that behind, you're almost like, who am I without that? Like, I don't even know what my voice is right now. And it took us a minute to really hone in on finding who we are, who we want to be, our gift that we give the world, that we're meant to bring the world. And finding all of that took a little bit of time.
I didn't realize until we started this entrepreneurship journey that I get to decide who I become and who I am. Like I until then, I just thought it was sort of predetermined. Like my identity, who I am is just
you are who you are. You're born with it.
I didn't realize until a few years ago that I get to decide my identity. I get to decide who I become. And that's, to your point, the precipitation of everything else. Like who you become determines what you do and determines what you'll have in this life.
And you get to determine your energy level. It's such, like, to Violet's point, is you get to choose when and what energy you have and you bring into the relationship, the conversation, the event, the situation that you put yourself in. And that was not something that I had always thought of or knew.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. The power of deciding and giving yourself permission. I have found that for myself, like permission to have fun.
Yeah.
Right? Permission to be you and the trust piece.
And grace when you miss the mark.
Yeah.
Yes. And having grace for yourself. Yeah. Self grace.
I love grace. By the grace of God, we're all here, right?
Yeah.
Not something I was always good at, to be honest.
Grace.
Like, grace. Yeah. Like, not for myself. More so for others. I think that's true of a lot of people, is we're more willing to have that grace for others, and we're all our own worst critics, I think. And so that was always kind of, for me, it was grace for myself was always challenging. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that didn't come for me till I started learning how to love myself.
Yes.
You know, who would I need to be, you know, to be a person who has grace for themselves? Well, someone who has self-compassion, who loves themselves. Then it became a lot easier to have grace.
I think growing up in corporate, so Craig, I also have a corporate background. I was a financial advisor. So not just corporate, male dominated and 100% commission. And I grew up with, you're only as good as your last sale. You're just a number, you can be replaced. You know, it was an entirely different work environment back then. And I think that experience really attached my self-worth to my numbers, to my production. And that's very like male typical, but when you grow up with the boys, that's what you do. And we didn't have these conversations. We didn't have conversations of self-compassion, self-love, self-grace. Like it was more about, you know, you're lucky to be here. You're just a number. You can be replaced tomorrow. And so I think that, again, having an awareness to that inner critic because of those experiences, right? So when I lost my job 10 years ago and I lost a very fat paycheck, who was I without the money that I was making? And that's when it hit me that without the money that I'd made for like 20 years, I had zero self-confidence. All of it was built on the paycheck that I brought in, that I was able to make it rain, move the needle, and, you know, buy things. That's where my self-worth came from. And so when God knew what he was doing, he had to make all that go away for me to even have an awareness to where that wiring, that programming came from. And I think that that corporate environment really just fed into the monster, right? And so a lot of the last decade for me has been unlearning. And I had grave anxiety, which I didn't even know that I had. And the reason I didn't know is because I had coping mechanisms to disguise it. So I was always super happy, super excited, super high energy, super positive, but it was nervous energy, right? I didn't know how to love myself without the money. I didn't know how to just be. I always had to hustle. I always had to prove my worth. I always had to work. And yes, that is very immigrant mentality, but a lot of people struggle with that. And so I really believe that grace and self-compassion, it goes back to having that awareness and that intention to be kind to ourselves, even in seasons where we're not making money, where things are not going in our way, where we don't feel like we're being favored. You know, it's a muscle. And for me anyway, I have to practice it, remind myself, because it's so easy to go back into that inner critic that's always judging me based on how many clients I have, how much revenue I'm making, how much stuff I have, even though I've gone past it, like it's so deeply ingrained. And so sometimes it shows up without me even having an awareness to it.
Yeah. Wow. Powerful. I got to say thank you to anybody who's watching. Joe speaks on, this is awesome. So grateful I tuned in. One of the things that, knowing your self-worth is when I hire a new person to work at one of my places, I say to them, you know, you're replaceable, right? And all of a sudden and I go, but you don't have to be. You don't have to be. If you take this as a job, then yes, you're replaceable. But if you invest yourself in it, you're going to be extremely hard to replace. And I don't want to replace you. So you have to make yourself that pain point for me to say, I got to let you go. Right. And it would be dumb for me to let you go. But if you just come in and you think this is a job, you might as well go look for somewhere else, because I'd rather get somebody to work here who's invested. And the more invested you become, the more invested I become in you. And the more education you're going to get, the more value you're going to bring to us, the more value we're going to bring to you. So it's a two-way relationship, not a one-way. And a lot of us have worked for a place they don't care about you because you are replaceable, you know. Makes a difference. So I don't want anybody to work for me that they think that they're replaceable. And if they think that, well, what can I say?
I think a lot of us adopted that, right? I know I've heard it, you know, that you're replaceable. And so then it's almost like a suggestion. And then we take it on and say, oh yeah, I am replaceable, you know, but we've got to learn to question everything, especially if it makes us contract in some way. And that's one way I decide is what I'm hearing a truth for me. Does it feel expansive? Does it energize me? Or does it make me like contract? And does it deplete me? Because if that's the case, then I know it's not true for me. And I've got to start leaning into curiosity and asking different questions.
Yeah. Energy. Energy, energy, energy to transform.
It's all energy.
Mhm. It takes energy to transform yourself from who you are today to who do you want to be tomorrow. Every day, Nikki, what do I say to you when you ask me how I'm doing?
You say you're exceptional and getting better and better every day.
Yes. And here's the funny thing. So when I say that to people who don't know me, they're like, oh, what's wrong with you? I said, actually, nothing. I just don't want to be the same guy I was yesterday. But a lot of times they misunderstood what I said.
Mhm.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times then we had other people who go, ooh, I like that. And I'm like, it's yours to use. But you have to believe it first, because otherwise you're using it for no reason. Right. And I love what Nikki shared, and that Violet is now taking you up on that challenge. And anybody out there who is not smiling every day, I got to tell you, you should look in the mirror and smile. That should be the person that you need to impress the most, not the outside world. You need to impress that person, that little boy or girl who lives inside, that loves to laugh. Isn't a child's laughter contagious?
Yes.
So why do we stop laughing? Cut that out.
I'm going to say this really quickly. When I was a kid, and I would love to laugh, I'd laugh all the time. And sometimes I'd laugh too much, I guess. And my mom would say, you better stop laughing or you're going to be crying by the end of the night.
Aw.
And I made this meaning in my mind that laughing is dangerous because what's going to make me cry? Am I going to get hurt? Am I going to get in trouble?
Mm.
And then years later, I told her that, it kind of impacted me. And she goes, I don't know why I said that to you. That's what grandma used to say to me. And I just repeated it. I wish I didn't say that, and so many of us are walking around just repeating the things that we have heard other people say and taking it on as who we are and how we operate in this world.
Mm.
One of my favorite research studies that was done, and it was done a while back, I heard Deepak Chopra share this, and I share it all the time when I'm presenting, and it's that the average person has 50 to 75,000 thoughts per day. Of those, 95% are the same exact thoughts day after day after day. It's that wiring, it's that record playing. But what was most shocking is for the average person, 85% of those thoughts are negative.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people say, oh, but I'm a happy person. I'm a positive person. And they don't realize it because they're disconnected from their truth, right? And that also drains our energy, walking in a lie, and listening to that saying, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, it's not enough, it's not enough, it's never going to be enough. And, we've learned how to show up and act normal. But I think if most people could see what was happening inside for so many people, we would be shocked because a lot of people spend their lives on those, I call it, the lower channels when you're in survival mode and your energy's just depleted. And we don't even know, we don't have an awareness. And even though we have a desire for something different, there's a disconnect because we continue to repeat the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same beliefs, and therefore we create the same reality, just dressed up in different people. And so that's a great reminder to how those early experiences shape so much about who we become, and taking an inventory, which ones of those are working for us, and I think looking at energy is a great way. Which of these habits and thoughts drain my energy and which energize me? Right. And if it drains me, I'm going on a diet. I'm not doing that anymore. If it energizes me, then it's a hell yes. Then yes, more of that, please.
Yeah.
And, that makes it easier because otherwise you're just an autopilot and you don't even recognize it.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like the energy of being stuck, right? The autopilot, that sort of default programming. And what I've come to realize just lately is the energy of transformation also requires an energy of discipline. And discipline, we always thought for so long, was restrictive. But discipline is the gateway to freedom, to everything you've ever wanted. And we spent some time lately really digging deep on what discipline means for us. And what we've settled on, what we've come to realize, is discipline ultimately is living for the future, not in the future. Don't live in the future where all the anxiety lives, but living for the future, in service of the future, and things you ultimately want, your goals and your dreams, as opposed to living for the present. We want to live in the present and be present and feel the joy and laugh and have fun, but we don't want to live for the present, which is what I feel like doing right now in this moment. I don't feel like going to the gym and doing my workout today because I'm tired, I didn't sleep, you know what, all the things. I don't feel like doing that. But when I act based on my feelings in the moment, it keeps me stuck exactly where I am. When I don't feel like going to the gym, but I do it anyway in service of future me, I'm living in discipline, moving myself towards what I ultimately want. So the big secret, I think, to transformation is living in the present and enjoying your life and having fun and laughing, but living for the future.
I love how you created this segue. So take a look here. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy. You're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. So you segued into discipline, right? And when we think about discipline, a lot of people say to me constantly, wow, you're so disciplined. I'm like, no, ask Meredith. She knows what I am, right? So now you may get a lot of phone calls when people ask me about discipline. Because it's about my future. It's not, I may be doing something in the moment, but that moment is going to give my future self a great outlook. So I can reflect back and say, 30 years ago when I was doing this, this is why I can do this today. Right? The other day I was at an event and somebody said, do a full split. And they've seen me do a full split so many times. So I said, I can kick over my head, and pew, I threw my leg up there. And they're like, ooh. I'm like, what's the difference? That was a split anyway. You just saw it differently because my leg went straight up, right? And if I went a split on the floor, it was just a different way of looking at it. And sometimes we need to look at discipline, because when we look at somebody who is successful in whatever endeavor they've gone into, it's because of that discipline. They've taken something on and they've done it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And success, overnight success, look at that. Right. There is no such thing, right? Even the birth of a child is not overnight success. That took planning. That took 2 people getting together. And then that took some fermentation.
It took some incubation.
Into incubation, correct.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? Success is not something that happens in a split second. Success takes time, and that's what we call discipline.
Yes. This is there's so many golden nuggets in what you just said, Sifu. Even the split, like the person said, do a split, and you go and you throw your leg up in the air. They had a different representation of what a split looked like. And you showed them something completely different. It was still a split, you're right. It just looked different from how they imagined it. And same thing with discipline. Some people have a negative stigma to discipline. As I was hearing the word, I was going back to being in school and being disciplined in school and at home. And there's this like push away from that. So one of the best skills that we can have, other than becoming curious and questioning, is redefining what we've made words mean and making it work in our favor. And like Meredith and Craig were saying, making choices for your future. Like, what would my future self do, say, think, act?
And your example, Sifu, of the kick being a split is such an example of like how often in life are people asking for the thing and then it's presented, but maybe not in the exact way. The opportunity was given, was there. They didn't see it because they had a completely different viewpoint of what they were looking for. And they miss completely out on the opportunity that they literally asked for. And it's just such a good example of how that happens in life all the time. If we're not aware and focused and open to different interpretations of what we're asking for.
But here's the thing. That person who asked me to do the split didn't see the split.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They saw a kick.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else said, "Ooh, you're flexible." Right? and so it's all about the impact that we make by our actions, and our actions are based on our discipline. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What I think is so interesting about discipline is it feels very constricting at first, right? Like we're giving up our freedom. And yet discipline is the path to freedom, right? Financial freedom, emotional freedom. And so that's the irony of it all is, and I think also being disciplined and having a father that was extremely like, you know, I had to do 8 hours of math a day, constantly grinding me, working me. That word for many years, all I wanted was freedom and joy in the moment. And because of that, I made a lot of choices without consciously thinking it through. And it created a lot of, it set me back a lot in my life. Even though I'd go forward, I'd go back because I was making choices to serve me today, right? Like I wanted that immediate gratification. And it was only when I had, again, awareness that my choices got me to, like my choices 20 years from now, 10 years ago, 5 years ago got me here, that I started realizing that it's those daily habits that we do over and over and over again. First of all, neuroplasticity, it creates new pathways in the brain, changes how we see ourselves, how we experience ourselves. But it's discipline is the core of living a life of freedom. And yet when you hear it, it feels like living in a prison, but it's opposite. Yeah. It's freedom, the ultimate freedom. And freedom is what we all want. We all want to be free.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. Redefining discipline as freedom.
Every day we have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do we do with it?
Right. Mm-hmm. Multiple times throughout the day. Sometimes, you know, I used to be the person that would say, oh, it was such a bad day. Today wasn't a good day. And it might have only been a couple of moments or one moment in the day. And I like spread it out and made the whole day. Oh, I can't wait for this day to be over. You know, but we get to start anew in each moment of the day. This is a brand new moment that I'm entering. 5 minutes ago, that was the past. How am I moving forward right now? Yeah.
I love when we started on this entrepreneurship journey and really dug into personal growth and going back to the conversation around identity, and we get to decide who we become. As part of that work, I came up with 5 statements of who I want to be, like my 5 identity pieces of who do I want to be, and then the attributes of those people. And I journaled them every single day and still do for like 5 years. And the cool thing about it is because, like you said, we are faced with so many decisions all day, every day. We have choices and decisions to make and actions to take. And if we're not intentional about the way we to make those decisions and take those actions, if we're not aware of it, then we just float through. We're on autopilot. We're doing what our mom told us because that's what her mom told her. And we float through life and we drift through life on this autopilot. But when we introduce that intention, when I introduced the journaling of who I want to be, then when I'm faced with the opportunity to make a decision and take an action, which I am all day, every day, I'm more likely to act in accordance with the version of me who I'm becoming, because I'm writing it out every day. I'm keeping it like at the front of my brain. So when I have the opportunity to make a decision that she would make, then I'm more likely to make it. And then once I make that decision, I've given myself proof that I actually am her. And so it becomes this like wonderfully vicious cycle that I keep reminding myself of who I am and then reinforcing who I am by actually doing that stuff. It's really cool.
Well, I love that consistency. That's beautiful.
That's discipline.
Yes.
That's
Boom.
Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. So it is about that time that the show has to come to a wrap. But my gosh, what a great conversation we've had today. I'm so grateful to every one of you. We would love, Nikki and I would love to have our audience reach out to you and connect with you. So we're going to give you 45 seconds to share why they need to connect with you. I mean, I know why they need to connect with you, but would you mind saying it in your own words? Violet, if you can go first, we'd love to.
Oh my goodness, put me on the spot. Yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone that is really looking to break free of their past and step forward and build the business of their dreams with ultimate freedom. It is something that is not just my framework, but my life story. And I feel very passionate about helping people share the music that they came to share and build the business of their dream. So connect with me at violetrainwater.com.
Love that. Love that. And, you know, we love the fact that your name is so simple to follow. Right. So think about that.
Purple Rain.
Look at that.
I love it.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, by the way, I came home last night. Last night, my day, I got to my facility at 5 a.m. I didn't leave till 10 p.m. because I was doing a ton of different fun. I was having fun, I got to tell you. I come home and my fiance is watching Dancing with the Stars. Not that I'm giving them any credit, and she's happy. She's enjoying it. She's following these different dancing people and so forth. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you just said Purple Rain, and that's what made me think of it. One of the symbols that they had up there was his symbol, right? Prince's symbol. Remember, because he didn't want to be named Prince anymore, even though he went with that name initially. So it's okay to transform. He did it, right? So unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. So Meredith and Craig, we would love to hear about you guys. So stage is yours.
Yeah. We love helping entrepreneurs turn their marriage into the engine that drives their business forward instead of the brakes keeping it stuck. Because your marriage is the foundation for your business and for all the big goals and dreams you're achieving in your life. And so we love being able to help people level up their relationship so that they can level up their whole life.
And do it in a fun way, because like we talked about earlier, if it's not fun, you don't want to do it. And let's be honest, having difficult conversations and relationships are messy sometimes and awkward and difficult, but it doesn't have to be. The work doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to feel like a grind. It can be fun and humorous, and we can have a good time. Obviously, we have to grow and do the things, but we can do it in a really fun way.
And actually, we have a book launching in January called The 200% Marriage. And it is not your typical relationship book. It is got a totally different voice and tone and fun, and it's going to be a game changer.
You've been warned.
Yeah.
Woo! Make sure you come back and give us more info, more details on that. Excited for both of you. You guys are just phenomenal. And like I said, maybe before we came on live, that I had to hug you both. So it was such a pleasure to do so. And then Violet, one day I'm sure we'll get to see each other at one point or another. And you know, for me, I'm a hugger. So what can I say?
Can
Me
confirm.
too.
Can confirm. Sifu is definitely a hugger. It's a great picture. It's a great picture.
Yeah. I am beyond blessed that Nikki said, yes, I'm going to be your co-host on this show. So Nikki, my dear, tell us why we want to connect with you. And whoever sneezed on the back end or whatever, God bless you. I hope it was good.
Yes, I got
so-
to meet Sifu in person, and I got a hug, and I got an offer to be his co-host on his show. So, yes. So thank you for that. So everybody, you can connect with me at nikkigangemi.com. I affectionately call myself a personal trainer for the mind, and I help people to change that old programming that keeps us apart from the things that we want to have in our life, those goals that we want to have. And we talked a lot about redefining today. And tomorrow I have my Reset Lab for High Achievers, and the topic is redefining success, so that when you achieve those things, it feels meaningful to you. So I'll put the Zoom link in the chat. It's complimentary to attend, and I'd love to see you there. And I'll turn it over to you, Sifu.
Right. Thank you so much. As you saw in the video that I put there, I would love to help you reset. So I do help people reset, restore, and rise, whether it's through their health, through their communication, because I do have a communication school as well. And I love speaking on stages. I just came from speaking on one. I love helping people to find who they truly are. And I create stages for people as well, both virtually like this and physically. So for me, it's not about adding more to who you are. It's about amplifying who you are, because we need to hear from you. So I have a proven system that will help you, and you will burn out. Stop burning out, people. So I'm here to serve, to help unlock your true potential. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You are all a godsend. So thank you. And thank you for everybody listening in and chiming in. And for Joe, you know, great comments, by the way, Joe. Yes, appreciate you being here with us today. And one word before we log off. What's one word that you would like people to take away with them today? I see Craig over there saying, I got that word.
Fun. Have more fun.
Meredith?
Intention. Know where you're going.
Violet?
Bliss. Follow your bliss.
Ooh, I like it. Nikki?
Curiosity. Be curious.
Ooh, let's see. And I'm going to say, in case you were wanting to start your 100 days of fun, I hope this show was one way of doing it. That I had fun doing it. See, every day when Nikki and I do a show like this together, we have so much fun because we have incredible guests like you guys. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for being here with us. God bless you all. Have a
Thank
beautiful
you.
rest of your day.
Thank you.